Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm John. I'm here for the match preview of the big fixture this weekend between AC Milan and Roma. Match will be played on May 7th at 8:45 p.m. Italian time at the San Siro. 4 games remaining in the Serie A. It's really do or die now for both of these teams, both for different ambitions. Milan still looking to push for that European qualification. They must at least get 6th place. We'll take a look at the current standings a bit later on into this live stream, while Roma, still their main objective is to end at least in 2nd place this season, and they're currently battling this position against Napoli. It's really a back and forth thing so far, and with 4 weeks remaining in the Serie A, really any result for any of these teams could really change their fate of the season. Speaking about Roma, Napoli is currently winning their respective game against Cagliari 3-0, and that means that this match for them will even have more importance. They need to go to the San Siro, make sure they get the 3 points to once again be ahead of Napoli. As for Milan, like I said, the situation is pretty simple. We are in 6th place, 3 points ahead of Inter. We can actually take a look at the standings at the moment here, as we could take a look here. Lazio, 67 points, Atalanta 64, Milan on 59 points, Inter on 56, and Fiorentina on 55. So you can still see the situation is still pretty clinical there for Milan. Only 3 points ahead of Inter. They need to get the job done here against Roma. I know it's not an easy task. It is Roma, a very strong team that scores lots of goals. But simply we need to get something here because Inter is just 3 points behind us. Fiorentina 4 points behind as well. So the situation is still pretty tricky. With 4 games remaining, anything could happen. Lazio seem to be running away there with an European qualification. I think if they get a win and Milan and Inter lose or don't pick up any points, I think they pretty much clinch their Europa League participation. So that's that. Of course, Milan can still reach 5th place, as we could see there. Only 5 points behind Atalanta, but the main objective here is to take every game by itself and hopefully win it. So let's speak once again about the game here against Roma. Of course, Roma, like I said before, very strong team. However, I have to say that in recent weeks they've had their problems. I mean, last week they lost that Roman derby against Lazio 3-1. A very disappointing result, that's for sure. But I think that Roma is seen a bit like predictable nowadays. I think that their players are still very good players, but like we have seen against Lazio, they still have a lot of deficiencies. And let's not forget that Milan tends to play better against these, top of the table teams as they allow them more space. Now, whenever Milan plays against the bottom of the table teams, like we have seen there with Crotone last week, for example, or Pescara, or whatever the case is, they have difficulties playing against those very tight defenses, those teams that simply don't give them enough space. And I think that, against teams where they do allow them some more space, for example, Lazio or Roma, Milan tend to do a bit better. Now, this does not necessarily mean that they win games, but in general, they do create more. They have more chances and they're capable of scoring more goals for some odd reason. And I think that tomorrow, even though Roma is probably the favorite to win, we can still do something good here. We can still get something done simply because it seems that Roma, yes, they need to win against Napoli. They need to win in order to pass Napoli, but they do have deficiencies, and they will be missing Strootman and Rudiger. Also, the atmosphere around the club is not the best. After that derby loss, you guys probably have heard it. There were mannequins hang outside the Colosseo, if I'm not mistaken, of De Rossi and a few other players. The Roma fans are very disappointed, and I think this added pressure to them going into this very important match against Milan could definitely play two roles. Either they come out very, very strong and they make sure they get the win, or that pressure coming from the ultras and the fans and so forth may play a negative impact in their position. So this all remains to be seen. Milan, however, need to go into this game, make sure they use their qualities. Like I said, they will be having more space than what we've seen against Crotone, for example. So Suso and Deulofeu will definitely need to exploit those flanks and hopefully, get some action going and maybe starting from there, originating from there. But without further ado, let's take a look at the probable starting 11. Of course, there will be some changes. So Donnarumma will be starting in net, Calabria, Zapata, Paletta, and De Sciglio in the back four. De Sciglio coming back there instead of Vangioni. Romagnoli still not set for a comeback. He's still injured. Therefore, we won't be seeing him in this game yet again. Pasalic will be replacing Kuchka there on the right midfielder role. Kuchka is out for suspension. As you may recall, he picked up a very, very silly red card last game. Sosa is once again going to be starting in the middle after his respective suspension, I believe. Locatelli was playing against Crotone, and Fernandez will be playing on the left side. Up front, Suso, Lapadula, and Deulofeu. Lapadula, it seems like he will be getting yet another chance. And Bacca, I believe this is going to be his third game in a row sitting down and not starting in games. Of course, he did come off. He did come on against Crotone there, but I'm saying in terms of actually starting games, I think it's 2 to 3 games now that we don't see Bacca starting. So definitely sending a big message towards him. And I want to really see how Lapadula fares, to be exact, against a very strong team like Roma. Will he be able to get something done? I definitely hope so. Once again, that midfield to me is probably the main concern at the moment. I'm not saying that it's lacking quality, but it's definitely not the strongest, and we are facing a very strong Roma midfield. Midfield that, definitely has shown some very good things this season. A very strong midfield composed of various elements. Of course, Strootman is not going to be there, but, they still have guys like Nainggolan, Salah, De Rossi, and even DX. Of course, Esharawi is expected to be playing in this game. So we're definitely going to see what our midfield could do against that, but hopefully we'll be able to contain and maybe hit them on the counter. That's exactly the type of philosophy Milan need, and be very, very sound defensively, because as I said before, Roma is a very, very strong team offensively. They have scored 75 goals this season. That's a lot more than Milan. It's about 24 goals more than Milan. So we definitely have to be careful in that regard, and hopefully we'll be able to defend and counter to hurt them. So let me know exactly your thoughts, guys, on the formation, predictions. What are you expecting from this match in general? Let me know all of that in the comments section below. I'll be reading your comments for the next few minutes. So let's get right into it. Let's see what you guys have to say here. Why isn't Locatelli starting? That's a very good question, to be exact. Of course, Locatelli, he did play against Crotone, and personally, I don't know. I believe that Jose Sosa, maybe he's more of the type of guy to put in this type of game in terms for experience. Locatelli, yes, he's good, but like I've said in like endless times this season, the experience plays a big role, especially against these strong teams, and Milan need to win. Now, I'm not saying that Jose Sosa is going to make the difference, that's for sure, but I think in these games, it's better that we play a guy like Jose Sosa. Let's not forget that Locatelli, against top opposition, he was actually pretty undisciplined. He picked up a few red cards. Now, I don't exactly remember the teams he picked up those red cards against, but he wasn't very disciplined. He went into very harsh challenges, and I think we need someone that's more composed, someone that can calm the game down when needed, and overall just contribute to that midfield and help it towards defending and attacking as well. GGWP says, in my opinion, we need Bacca to start tomorrow. really that all depends to Montella. I understand your point. I think that maybe Baca could finally open himself and score goals against Roma. But to be honest with you, with what I've seen from him in recent weeks, even though he got the goals, he simply wasn't working hard enough. He was very, very lazy. And I think we need a guy like Lapadula that rushes the defense into making mistakes. Like I said, the Roma defense, they don't really concede that many goals, but they could still be vulnerable. And personally, I would prefer someone that rushes that defense, that pressures it continuously, hoping that they will make mistakes rather than the guy that's just standing there waiting for the perfect opportunity and then mess it up as he's not able to control the ball with his feet, and there's like always 2 or 3 defenders on him and they take the ball away from him very easily. Moving on, the Volcano Game says, after Bonaventura, Kuchko is the best midfielder we have. Well, he's out for suspension, so we won't be seeing him. Annie says, this midfield is too soft. Jeffrey says as well, the same thing. Midfield is not good enough, and it's a pretty much losing starting lineup. I do agree with you, but at the same time, guys, we have to look at the options out there. And in terms of the midfielders, like, would you prefer risking Montolivo or Bertolacci for any of those names? Let me know in the comment section. Maybe you guys would prefer seeing those 2 guys instead of any of the names that will be probably starting tomorrow. Like I said, we don't have Bonaventura, we don't have Kuchka. These are key players that I will love to have in these types of games, but unfortunately they're out to suspension and injury, so we won't be seeing them. And yet again, I could make the argument of us not having enough depth on the bench over and over again, but that's the real reality of this team at the moment, and that's why we need to reinforce it in the summer. Joe11V says, how has Fernandez been playing in the last couple of games? I haven't been able to watch Milan play in a bit. Well, Fernandez, he's been decent. I mean, he hasn't really shown great things. However, he's been working hard in that midfield to gain balls and, recuperate possession. But other than that, going forward, he really hasn't shown much. He has been taking quite a few corners as well, from what I recall last game, and they were very disappointing. So, like I said before, if we had Bonaventura, I would definitely prefer to see him instead of Mati Fernandez playing on that left side going forward. And I just can't wait for him to return, to be honest, next year. But really, that's what we have to do for these next 4 games, these last 4 games. We need to use what we have and hopefully get results. I don't care if these results come in pretty or not. The main objective here is to get the results, get the 3 points, and walk away like that. MBR says, Montella said he doesn't want Gigio as the captain yet. Do you agree? I've actually read those declarations today from Montella, and he said something like he's still young and he's not capable to communicate with the referee and the rest of the teammates as he's a net. Well, to be honest with you, take a look at Buffon. He's a captain himself. He's a goalkeeper, and he's capable of communicating with everyone. I just don't see that logic from Montella. I pretty much see that declaration as an excuse not to really make him as a captain, because every time I watch Milan play, I think Donnarumma is one of the biggest communicators on the pitch, if you guys agree, because every time I see him, he's the one telling off the defense. He's the one warning the defense to, where to position themselves and so forth. He's always there yelling. He's always there motivating the players. So I really don't see what Montella's trying to say there. Once again, a prime example of that is Buffon. He's a goalkeeper himself. Where's the logic with him not being able to speak to the referee and the rest of the teammates? I really don't see it, and I personally see that as an excuse, but we'll see in the future if he will be the one to give in the captaincy. Diego says, Montella is trying to see whether he has to let Lapadula go or not. It's simple, guys. I mean, definitely there's something in it in that regard, but at the same time, Baca, like I said a few weeks ago, I think him not starting games is a big sign that Milan is really not looking forward to continuing with Baca into next season. And, sitting him out, especially against Roma, I think that's a very big message. I've also said in recent weeks, and like you guys could agree as well, where Baka was actually starting games instead of Lapadula, and we said, well, he's getting bigger wages. He needs to start games. He cannot just stay on the bench. Well, how have the tables turned now? He's the one sitting on the bench. He's still making the same money. And simply the only motive, the only reason I can really see Montella still sitting him down, besides the fact that he's not working hard, is the fact that, I don't think he will be proceeding with him going into next season. And that's why Lapadula has been giving a chance there. And like you said there, Diego, I think that that's a very good point that you made, because maybe Montella really wants to see if Lapadula is the player that will be staying at Milan next season. Obviously not as a starter, but as a good backup to whoever we're going to get in terms of attackers. I still keep seeing these questions regarding Cutrone. Do I want him to play a match? And Diego says, Cutrone isn't ready to play yet, guys. He was called up to make up numbers, not to play. And I've said this over and over again. I would definitely like to see him getting a chance. But like we saw against Palermo, even when we were 4-0 up, he wasn't given the chance. So yet again, I have to agree with that comment there made by Diego. I think he was simply put into the squad to replace Luis Adriano back in January. If you guys recall, the main reason as to why he even came in was because Luis Adriano left and we didn't have really a replacement at that moment. But definitely, he's gaining experience, and whether to see him as a starter in the future, maybe next year, maybe not. Maybe we'll be loaned out somewhere. I simply don't know what to make of it, but like I mentioned with that example before, it was 4-0 against Palermo, and he still wasn't given a chance. So, you guys have to put 2 and 2 together sometimes and actually see why he wasn't given a chance. Mr. J Channel says, do you think we need to try new formations or experiment with the lineups more? In terms of experiencing with the lineups more, I mean, we are changing lineups almost every game. And I'm not speaking about formation, but very rarely do we see Milan keeping the same constant starting 11 every game. It's always a variation of it. There's always little changes, whether it's in the defense, in the midfield, up front. In terms of experiencing lineups, I think we have seen almost every possibility this season. We have also seen Milan going with 5 attackers at some points where we were in very desperate measures. But in terms of starting formations, Montella has always, looked at that 4-3-3, and he always was a very, commander of that formation. He's a guy that loves that formation. He loves to use it. But let's not forget, like I said before, throughout games, we have seen different formations, variations of it. We have seen more attackers at times. So he definitely implements different styles in this game. Whether it works all the time, maybe not. But like I said, lineups-wise, we have seen a lot of changes in every position, every game. Chrissy says, Gio, would you do a watch along or not tomorrow? Liban is asking the same question. I know, really, you guys have been asking me over and over again, and I was actually planning to do one tomorrow, but I will be going with the Milan Club Montreal instead to watch the game. So if you guys are in the area in Montreal and you want to join us, we will be at Bar Chocharos tomorrow for the game. I might be doing some sort of live stream there, maybe after the game or at halftime. Not quite sure yet. But rest assured, the live stream watch-alongs will be returning after the Roma game. I promise you guys I will be making them for sure. So make sure you stay tuned for those. But nonetheless, I will be making a match review tomorrow after the game for those guys that want to hear my thoughts. Some more comments before I sign off. Snajat says, I think the fact that Lapadula is starting means that he's getting sold. He plays so that other teams can see him play and then buy him. Transfer strategy. It could be, but it could also backfire on him, to be honest. Because if he doesn't perform and he doesn't get goals, his market value could also depreciate. And, it's things that could go either one way or another. And I completely agree with that, but you also have to look at the other side of the coin. Same thing goes with Baka. Him sitting down the last few games, not getting much playing time. I mean, we're definitely not going to be getting 30 million euros from him if we do sell him. It's definitely going to be less this season, and that's why maybe we should have sold him last summer. But I was one of the main people saying, no, 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 we shouldn't be selling him. We should be giving him another season. He was given the other season. He hasn't really proved himself that much this year, and I think it's time for him to go this summer. Push Car says, I feel Milan haven't really shown good form at home. Moreover, dropping points that we shouldn't have on previous occasions. Milan really need this win to show good intent. And, you know, going back to last game, even though I don't want to go back to it, Crotone showed a very winning mentality, and they're a team that's battling for relegation. Milan needs to do the same. Nothing is really set in stone just yet. They're still out there trying to qualify for the Europa League. Nothing is confirmed anyways. So I don't understand why they're not really pushing hard to get that qualification, to get that certainty. Whereas Crotone, a team that, you know, is nowhere near the quality of Milan, with no offense, was actually showing much better things, much more desire, much better intent than Milan last game, and I simply cannot state the absolute reason. So we need to see more from Milan. They need to show more. If they want to, you know, reach their objectives, they need to win. They need to show better things overall. And, you know, Milan could have taken advantage of Inter's lack of form in the recent games. They haven't won in the last 5 games, Inter, losing 4 out of the 5 last games. Milan could have won even 2 of those games that they drawn or lost, and we would have been in a very comfortable position. Actually, we could have even maybe qualified already. So, you know, those little things play a big factor at the end of the season. But overall, Milan definitely need to, you know, shake things up and get back to winning ways. So hopefully that will be the case tomorrow against Roma. Like I said, it's definitely going to be a very tough fixture, a very tough match. But, you know, anything is possible, and it will be played at the San Siro. So hopefully the home crowd will be supporting our boys for a win. Thank you guys all for joining me today for this match preview of Milan-Roma. Once again, tomorrow I will be back for the match review, maybe a live stream throughout the game. Not quite sure yet, but stay tuned to Rossoneri TV. Make sure you subscribe to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan. If you guys still haven't checked out the video regarding the latest transfer news, transfer rumors, and so forth, I did promise one, and I did make one yesterday. So make sure you go back on the channel and find that video if you guys want to stay updated with the latest news. Regarding the transfer dailies, transfer recaps, I will be making one a week, maybe towards the end of the week from now on until June, and where things start to pick up in terms of transfer rumors and other news in June. That's when I'll be starting to make more daily videos, or at least more videos throughout the week. So make sure you subscribe to stay updated with all of that. Don't forget to leave a like on the video if you have enjoyed it, and also make sure to donate as well if you haven't yet. I'm open to contributions, whatever you guys want to donate. If it's $1, $2, anything really helps the channel. And in order to do that, make sure you click on the $ next to the live comment section on this live stream, and also you can donate via Patreon if you guys aren't aware of that. The link of that is in the description. So thank you so much for all your support, guys. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great Saturday, and as always, Forza Milan.